You are tuning in to the You Are Loved podcast, where we hope to bring love and kindness to the world.
Welcome to another You Are Loved podcast, where I have Shatory Grant, who is an author, minister, and mentor whose life is rooted in resilient faith and service. Born and raised in Evergreen, Alabama, she relocated to Fort Lauderdale, Florida at the age of 15. Her journey has been shaped by both challenges and victories that ultimately revealed her purpose. While she wears many hats, Shatory's most cherished role is being a mother, a journey she began at the age of 16. Her lived experiences as a young mother navigating real-life struggles have become the foundation of her passion to uplift and support other mothers. She's had over 26 years working with the youth from preschool, group homes, and aftercare programs, serves as a minister and church administrator, author of Broken for Purpose, A Mother's Cry. She's president and founder of Mother's Cry for Help, who's birthed out of Shatory's personal journey with parenting challenges. And her mission is to strengthen a mother's so we can save a family and ultimately strengthen the community. Welcome, Shatory. Thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So, talk to me now. Your book, which is about to be released, or what's the release date on that?
It actually drops on June 7th, but pre-orders have already went out, so people have already received their books. So we're definitely having our the party on June 7th for the book signing.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay. So your book titled Broken for Purpose. So looking back on your life, what were some of the moments that felt like they were breaking you, but ultimately became part of God's preparation for your purpose?
The first one was becoming a teen mom was definitely challenging, trying to navigate being a mother, going to school and making sure that I completed that task was the first hardest thing that I had to encounter. And then going through divorce was another one. I felt like, I have failed at something that's supposed to came so natural, but that was another devastating part of my life.
Okay. So, and those were some of the moments that felt like they were breaking you, but ultimately became part of God's preparation for your purpose. Like, how do you feel like that has now made you stronger for what you're doing now for mothers and the youth?
Because I'm reaching so many moms that are struggling, I'm able to tell my testimony in order to help them. There's so many women that I come across that I begin to share my story with, and to see how it relates to them, to allow them to be empowered and encouraged by my story, is definitely been beneficial because it's a lived experience.
No, I love that. That's awesome. Okay. And so what would you say to someone who is currently in their broken season and can't see their purpose?
I will let them know, don't give up where they are, because it feels like it's forever. But the moment will pass that you will see the reason why God allowed you to go through those things. Because sometimes we feel weak and feel like that we don't have the strength. But when I look back, I'm like, oh my God, he kept me through it all, knowing that God has a purpose for it. And it only does really come to make us stronger. Because the woman I am today, that's who I did not see a couple of years ago. But now to be standing in strength to help other women is amazing. So I tell them to keep going. Don't give up where they are.
Okay. Yeah. And so is that like a lot of stuff that you've been through? I'm assuming that's like what inspired the book. And so what are some of your proudest moments of your work and the courage to be vulnerable in the book, right? And to really open up and express some scary parts of your life. What are some of your proudest moments of things that you've been able to express in the book?
How I overcame, how he allowed people to come in my life to empower me, because those people who he sent to help me encouraged me. And I want to be that for someone else. But to be vulnerable, that was a hard process to take when God told me to write a book. And I'm such a private person. And I was like, I don't want people to know. I'll tell my testimony face to face, but to put in a book for the whole world to know was a different story. So that I had to get another leap of faith on that one. It wasn't easy. It actually took me about 10 years to get it done. So
Yeah.
I'll tell another woman, it might seem impossible now, but you will find the courage to leave that relationship that you need to leave. And being able to see the women that I've helped so far gives me the strength to tell my story so other women will be saved, delivered, set free from whatever they're going through is definitely my encouragement, because if it was just about me, I would not have told my story, but because it would help other women has given me the strength to do so.
No, I love that. I think that's awesome. That's awesome. And you impact a lot of people's lives now. And I know sometimes it can feel like you're stretched really thin and there's a lot of stuff going on, and then God puts a book on top of it, And
Yes.
what do you think gives you the strength and the courage to keep moving forward, even though it may feel like you're being stretched in so many different directions?
I look at my children, um, especially my daughters. I want them to know who mom is. Um, they look at me like I'm a superwoman, but I want to show them that even though life may take them down different paths, that they can do it. I want to
Hmm.
encourage them first as I give it to other women. Um, the goal is that God be glorified, that people be able to see that He's the one who brought me out. So it's not about me, but it's about what He's done through me, through my testing, through the trials, the tribulations, that I was able to overcome it because He allowed me to.
That's awesome. I know that with myself, when I may be going through like a challenging situation, I've had I will have a tendency to think, okay, I've made through tougher or something as tough, and I didn't die, right? I like was able to
Mhm.
continue moving forward, and I've had great moments in my life. And then there's times when now I think about challenges and stuff that the Lord has brought me through and helped me to overcome. So sometimes when I'm feeling stuck or not knowing how something is going to come to fruition, as just
Mhm.
having the strength to continue moving forward and saying, all right, well, the Lord has handled bigger things than this in my life. And so I know He's going to bring me through this too. So yeah, I always
I
feel
love
like,
that.
yeah, I always feel like which I share with people, I'm like if I didn't have God in my life, like I'd either be like in prison, I'd be dead, I'd be an addict, I would be homeless, there would just be so many negative things if it was just like had to rely on myself and I didn't have God there protecting me for greater missions that He wants me to create. It's just kind of like all glory to Him, because I know that I could not, I can't do that for myself. So on my own strength. Um, so yeah. So,
I
so
can't hear
many,
you.
oh, you can't? Can you hear me now?
No.
Okay. Okay, that now that we have all the technical difficulties fixed. So, when do you think, like, as you were going through and you're looking back at your life and when you're writing this book, where do you think there was a turning point where you decided your struggles would not define your future?
When I was diagnosed with cancer, it gave me a new outlook on life.
Mm,
And I was like, you know what? While I have this opportunity, I'm not going to allow um, what I've been through to stop me. I had another determination to live, and not just to live, but to live on purpose. And I wanted to impact as many people as God will allow me to, while He's giving me the opportunity to do so.
Okay. So no, I think that's yeah, that's an absolute blessing. So your mission states to strengthen a mother so we can save a family and ultimately strengthen the community. So why do you believe mothers play such a critical role in shaping future generations?
Because those women in my life are the ones who allowed me to be when I am today. As much as I love my father, he did not impact me the way my grandmothers did. They were
Mhm.
such a blessing to me. And me being a single mom let me know that, like, we are super women. We can do this. And we played such an important part, even when I was married. I was the he was the head, but I was the one who was leading the family. And I
Mhm.
believe once we strengthen that mother, she's the one who will, be the best they can be. And I believe once we encourage and strengthen her, she's going to make sure those kids are who God called them to be. So I believe if we save her, we'll save the family.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. So moms really add that. They really teach us relationships. They teach us how to have compassion and empathy and that emotional support that we need to have in like our own relationships that we have with our family, our friends, and even with our heavenly father, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. So what do you think are some of like the biggest challenges that mothers face today that concern you the most?
Now is trying to provide,
Mm.
because now it's harder than when I was the single mother, because times are definitely different. Because now the kids' influence is just not um, the TV, it's everything around them. They're
Mhm.
exposed to so much. So I definitely believe back then it was, we needed a community. We definitely need a great community when it comes to the impact that we'll be making on our youth. A
Mhm.
mom, she definitely can't do it alone now. I believe it definitely takes a awesome community of people to help them to stir the way. That's why I love being a mentor at at schools, at the clubs, in different places like that, because they need all the help they can get because they are so influenced by so much. So I believe they have someone in their ear, and when they're challenged with something, they will hear our voice and say, "Okay, you know what? I was told this." Because mentors are very important, and I believe that's why I am who I am today, because those mentors who God allowed me, even as an adult, to still have in my life. So
Mm. No, that's amazing. We were speaking with someone yesterday who is a retired police officer, and he had a couple of girls himself for his biological children. But he said as he grew, he ended up mentoring 5 young men who are like in their 30s
mm,
now, and that he still mentors them
I
to this
love it.
day from when they were like little kids, you know?
And I believe we're always need someone there in our corner to give us guidance to give. Well, even sometimes you don't want to. You might not need someone to give you advice. You just need someone to listen sometimes.
Hmm.
And I definitely need a mentor. And I think they encouraged me to do the book because what are we doing? What are you waiting on? And it's because of them gave me the courage that I needed to do what God has called me to do. So mentors are always needed, no matter how old we get.
That's so, yeah, 100%. I definitely mentors have helped me. My therapist definitely helped me a lot. But I first had to come to a place where I knew that I needed that help.
Yes.
So I think that's also with like mentees is being open to have somebody mentor you and to be humble enough to listen and take what you can from that, and then letting them know how much they are appreciated as well, you know?
Yes. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. So through your like with your faith through adversity, like as a minister and church administrator, you've been able to help many people navigate difficult seasons in their lives, just like all of us have had difficult seasons and we've needed someone there. So what do you think you've learned about maintaining your faith when life doesn't go according to plan?
I just constantly, I get into my word. I have to encourage myself.
Mm,
Before I encourage others, I get into my word, strengthen myself. Prayer changes things. And I just constantly stay in prayer. Sometimes prayer is not enough. I have to fast and pray, turn down my plate so I can be able to hear and get strengthened from God.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So, yeah. And so where do you think, like, so with a lot of the women that you've been able to mentor yourselves and the children that you've been able to make a positive impact in, like, how do you think someone can hold on to hope when, like, when it seems like prayers are like being unanswered?
And it's so funny because when I give people my number, I tell them I never turn my phone off because I never know when someone is in need. Sometimes I pick up the phone and I say, okay, today I can't do it today. So you have someone on the other end or just meet up with you and say, okay, I'll sit with you. Having those important people in my life has helped me. So just knowing that if they get to the point where I can't get it today, then I'm
Mm-hmm.
always trying to make myself available. But to try, I look at my kids. If they're not around, I look at a photo to remind me why am I going to keep going. Being that teen mom, when the thoughts of suicide or I wasn't good enough came upon me, I looked at that baby and said, "Okay, God gave me a reason to go on."
Yeah. I don't have direct children of my own, but I do have my goddaughter, Jayla, and who's the light of my life. And I know that when there's times that like where I'm struggling or like I may feel really sad or whatever, like I'll just go and look at a picture of her, and
It
then it just puts like a huge smile on my
it
face.
works.
It's like makes me smile on the inside and feel
Mhm.
joy, and it's just because she's just such a beautiful soul. And
Exactly.
yeah, it's just like, okay, all right, this is why I'm going to continue moving forward, right?
Mhm. Mhm. I agree. He gives us reasons, he gives us purpose, and you never know why he brought someone into your life. And it's just for that purpose, for that moment. You say, "Oh, I can't." Oh, you gave me a reason. You gave me a reason. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so like my next question is around like healing, and because I've seen it like with my own specific family, like generational curses and patterns that come across with like my mom and then her relationship with her mom and my dad and his relationship with his family and then my parents in their late 70s and especially my dad now in his later 70s and seeing the struggles of him being on like antidepressant medication forever, and which I'm not really for that. I'd rather just like go and heal and deal with that and not have to deal with the side effects of not dealing with it. So
yes.
what role do you think healing, accountability and forgiveness, especially forgiveness, I try to talk to my best friend about that all the time because he likes to hold on to stuff, but that what do you think that plays in like breaking those specific cycles?
Forgiveness is a big part. And sometimes we too have to forgive ourselves for things,
Mm,
right? I realized that I was beating myself up because I had all these failures and things like that. And I had to sit with myself and like, oh my God, I forgive me for feel like I failed myself. Forgiveness plays a part. Holding things does not work. Especially when I was going through chemo and things like that. I
mm,
was so stay such at peace and make sure that my mind was clear. That I was very thankful for every day and thankful even for the bad things. People's like, "What do you mean?" Because I believe all things work together for the good. That's what the Bible tells me. So even when I had difficult things, God allowed them to be used for my good. He used the brokenness that I experienced, that another woman don't have to be broken by my testimony. So
mm,
forgive my father for not being there. I forgive my mom for being having alcohol abuse and all these
mhm,
things. And I say, you know what? Those things happen to me, but they're not me. So
mm,
I forgive you. I just had to forgive someone last week, and I said to them, I release you.
mm.
Um, Not for them, but for me.
Yeah.
So I thank God for it because I think it allowed me to heal better. I had my season of brokenness, but once I let go, the healing took place
Mm.
physically, mentally, in my body as well. And I believe that's why the cancer couldn't take me out. So
Mm.
I released every hurt. People who hurt me, I went back to tell them without them saying, I forgive you. I told them, I forgive them. They didn't ask
Yeah.
for forgiveness, but I told them I forgive them.
Yeah.
So I didn't do
Yeah.
it for them. I also did it for me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's beautiful. I think that's beautiful. I was talking with a friend of mine, and while I was out of town in Alabama at my dad's, and I was like, when him and I first started hanging out and stuff like that. Uh, so been hanging out on and off for like about a year and a half. So I was like, we initially trauma bonded. Like we both had abandonment issues, right? And like going through everything with him, it's like we both had abandonment issues, and I've had past traumas that have happened in my life, and then his traumas and stuff like that. But it's interesting to see, like, even though, but like our friendship has always stayed consistent, and in times of need and stuff like that, we've been able to be there for each other. And then with a past relationship of his, I who he's still going through stuff with, I was like, have you prayed for that person? Have you prayed for them? And he was like, no, I haven't. And I was like, okay. I said, not necessarily for them. I said, but it's also a hard thing for yourself to help to come to a place of healing. And so when I just asked you that question about healing. So him and I trauma bonded, but as both him and I heal, now we can heal bond. I was like,
I
I just thought
love
about that,
it. Oh
like
my
now
gosh.
we can heal bond together and go to a place where we're both healing, and building our relationship with Christ, and
I love
building
it.
and strengthening our own personal friendship. But I think that it doesn't always have to be like, I'll acknowledge, as long as I can acknowledge something, I see what the issue is, I can acknowledge
Okay.
it. Now I know how to resolve that situation and heal from it and move on,
Amen.
and grow from that. So I was just thinking about that when you
I love that part. You said grow from it because going through things that can make us bitter. But
yeah.
then I didn't understand. So now when I'm going through things, I say, okay, I ask God, what do you want me to learn from this? Because
Mm,
now I know it serves a purpose. So now my out looking at it is different. So I love that when you said to grow from it because
yeah.
nothing happens by accident. He knows everything before it happens. So now I say, okay, what woman would I have to tell this story, or who do I have to encourage because I'm going through this? So now I just look at it different.
Yeah. So as you've grown, and as your outlook has changed, the love for yourself has become stronger. Your love for Christ has grown. And when I say love for yourself, meaning you are more being able to see yourself through his lenses, instead of like our fleshly lenses, right?
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
shows that we see all of our mistakes and stuff like that. And then how a lot of times people will define themselves by their mistakes or failures or circumstances. So how do you think that you learn to be able to see yourself through God's eyes rather than through your struggles? Because I know a lot of people probably, and I know that sometimes it's hard for me to really believe, like, hey, like the Lord has me for a purpose. Like I know that he's always seeked after me, even from when I was a little kid. My parents never took me to church and like that, but he always surrounded me with people that did. And so I know that the Lord seeked after me. I know that he created me to be a seed planter. So, but still, there's a lot of times where I don't see myself in his eyes until someone comes to me and says, the Lord said this, how much he
Gotcha.
loves you. And then I'm like, wow. so, how,
Um,
so how do you
it
think that you've been able to really do that so other people can know?
just reminding myself of the word, I am more than a conqueror. And
Mm,
then I love my pastor who taught me to do affirmations I am confident, I am loved, I am forgiven. So speaking those things over myself, because the world
Mm,
can say anything about us. So it's, what am I going to believe about myself? So I tell myself that I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Just reminding myself of that daily.
mm. Yes, and I think that's a great way to start the day off in the morning. So you kind of start your day off with positive mindsets about yourself
Mhm.
and helps you to feel better about others. And then also when challenges come throughout the day, you're able to move those through smoother and as a conqueror, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So when your children, community and future generations look back on your life and after they've read your book and all that, what do you hope that they remember most about you when who you were and what you stood for?
I want them to know that I am a woman who loves God, who tries
Mm,
to be obedient to the word. That's why the book was birthed. I want them to remember that no matter how I started off, that little country shy girl, that
mhm.
even God called me at a young age, that He continued to be with me through all the journeys that I went through. And I want them to know that He does the same for them. The Bible says He's no respect of a person. So it's not because I'm Shatory, but anyone. I represent all those little kids that saw themselves as, that no one loved them, that no one saw them. Just to
Yeah.
remind them that God always saw me no matter what. So He's that same God that sees them. I want them to know that, God loves them no matter how small, no matter how they at a young age, because that's where I started feeling it at a young age. I want them to remember they're loved, that God loves them no matter what, and He has called them for a purpose.
I
And
love
He will
that.
use all those things. He will use all
Yes.
those things. Mhm.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. I think, yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I don't know that, like, there'll have to be a special day where the Lord, like, has me reveal my full testimony of everything. But, but,
you,
uh,
you sound like
but
a
I'm
young
never
lady. She said,
ashamed
"Oh
of
my God, I don't know if I could smell it." Um, it, it, I was like, "Oh, did I read the book myself?" And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
I almost teared up. I was like, "Wow, wow, wow." Even writing it was hard. There were some things I thought I was over, and when I was writing about my mom, it took me maybe 5 more months to write it because that was tough.
Yeah.
And I saw her as a different person when I was younger, and to grow up to say like, oh my gosh, she was such a strong woman. But at a young
Yeah.
age, I saw her something different. But it was all maturity. It's all about growth. So I'm happy to see myself healing. Even as I was writing, I was healing myself.
And it's interesting because as you become an adult, you realize that our parents who were like our heroes and were like infallible when we were kids, to realize that they're imperfect beings and there was no manual outside of the Bible, but
Yeah.
like um but
Oof.
then just trying to figure it out along the way and
It was,
just yeah, and growing ourselves and just trying and doing the best that they could, with whatever they were dealing with in their own life. And then being a mom on top
and
of
I
it.
and I had to realize that. I had to realize that they too have a story. That my mom, her growing up, it played a big part of how she was raising us. So once I start to learn that, when I had my first child, I'm like, oh my God, I can imagine how she did this with 8 kids, and I have one. So it made me look at
Mhm.
her totally different. So and then having compassion and understanding, but I had to mature in it.
Now, where can people and actually before I ask you that question about where can people find your book, but so now that you uh, wrote the book, it's being released on June 7th, which is exciting. Um
It is.
what impact do you think this is going to have on you going forward, now that you've had a chance to go through the process, you've had a chance to heal in certain areas that you thought you had healed from, where the Lord revealed to you, like, these are still some areas that you have happening inside of you. Like, how do you think that's going to help you to become a better mentor to both women and the children that you have an opportunity to bless daily?
I believe it would show them that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to share your story. I was able to bless someone on Sunday, and before she could read it, God allowed me to share a little bit with her. And the response I received was, "Oh my God, you just told me my life story."
Mm,
So for me, and being able to allow other people to be not afraid to share what they're going through. Another young lady said, "Oh my God, you inspired me to tell my story. I think I'm going to write a book." I believe it's that release that God has allowed me to do it. So people are free to share their story.
mm.
Because I don't know about anyone else, but when I was going through it, I felt like I was the only one in the world going through it. So I believe it'll free others to tell their story.
Yeah. And I think the healing that you've had a chance to go through is going to help others go through the same healing that may not have realized that they could, you know? So I think that's a
Yes.
huge thing. Shatory, I'm glad that you submitted to the process, regardless of however long it took, but everything's in God's timing. He already knew, obviously, before
Yes.
you wrote the first word. And I pray that it just continues to be a blessing to so many moms out there that may have similar stories or not, and help for the ones that don't, that may be a little judgy, that then now that they have an opportunity to learn how to be more compassionate and kind to other people that are struggling and going through certain things
Yes.
that they don't need to. So I pray that. Okay. So where can people buy a pre-order of the book? And then once it's released, where is it being released at, and all that great stuff?
So you can now get it on Amazon. It is now on Amazon. But they also can reach out to me and I can personally ship it. And if they're locally in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, or nearby cities, I can also deliver it to them. But I am having the release party June 7th. So they can find me on I am Shatory on Instagram, Facebook, to get the information to the party, which is the book is 20. To go to the book release party is 25.
Mm.
But they're also available to come so I can sign their book as well. And they get to meet the real life me.
I know, that would be amazing. I'm flying to my dad's to go help him, but I wish I was going to be here because I'd love to go. So, um,
It's
but
scary,
okay.
but I'm excited.
Yes, it's going to be amazing. And I look forward. Please text me some pictures,
I
and
will.
we'll definitely share it as well. So when you can, send me the link to your, I think you sent me your Instagram, but if not, just resend it to me again in the group chat, and then I will share
Okay.
that on our page as well, and the links for people to be able to find the book on Amazon and your Instagram and all that. Is there any last words of wisdom you would like to share before we go?
I just want people to know that God, no matter what you've been through, He will use it for His glory. He will allow it to impact others. That He doesn't allow, He loves us so much that even the little hurt that we have, He will use it for His good. So no matter what you're going through, God is in control.
I love that. My favorite verse that's helped me out a lot through different times in my life was Philippians 4:13. Like, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Who
That's like
strengthens
my
me?
life verse. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
I felt inspired to say it.
yes.
But
I can do
Shatory,
all things,
all things, right? That means everything. That's
all
not
things,
one
everything.
or
Hmm.
two. It's everything. Yeah. So, all right, Shatory, thank you so much for coming on. We look
Thank you for
forward
having me.
to reading your book, and I will maybe Friday, if you're around, stop by in the morning, and I'd love to come. I'll bring you some cash and come pick up the book. So, and come get
Okay,
the book.
sounds great. I look forward to seeing you.
All right, Shatory, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Amazing day. All right.
Okay.
Everyone, thank you so much for listening to another You Are Loved podcast with Miss Shatory. Please get her book. You definitely will be inspired for any of the children's books for elementary and teenage. If you'd like to have them know how to build out their self-image, build up resilience, healthy boundaries, understand who they are. And please check us out at youareloved.store.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of You Are Loved. If you have any topic ideas or would like to be a guest on the show, please hit us up on Instagram at youareloved.store.